So hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a story time. This is my first story time I've ever done on YouTube, so I'm excited and I'm nervous. Hopefully it's not too long, and yeah, let's dive right into it. The topic of the story time is actually going to be my labor and delivery. It was pretty crazy and definitely unforgettable. Some people say that you just forget about it, but yeah, no, I'll never forget that experience. If you like my videos, or if you are liking this video so far, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel to see more videos. I appreciate it so much, so thank you. I also want to apologize for the cricket in the background. It can be sort of annoying, but it's also vibes at the same time. So I am actually going to try and add in some clips and photos of the day that I went into labor and when I had him. So yeah, they may not be the best quality because most of them were taken on Snapchat and my phone is absolute garbage, but there is some documents, proof of his birth. So this was actually almost 2.5 years ago now, so this isn't a pandemic related story time. I am very grateful for that, and I am so happy that I did not have to go through all that bullshit. Like, let's be honest, I feel so bad. Like, my heart goes out to all the mamas that have had to go through labor and even pregnancy during this quarantine/COVID. Even though when I was pregnant, I just stayed inside the whole fucking time. Let's be real. When you get to a certain point during the pregnancy, it's just like you only want to get food, that's it, and sleep. Let's just dive right into the story time. So the first thing I really wanted to tell you guys was that I actually dreamt of my son before I had him, almost exactly a year apart from having him. So I had the dream on October 31st, 2017, and I had my son on October 8th, 2018. In the same month and a year apart, but there are a few days off. But still. And there's just so much. This dream started off in Dubai, and I remember being in a city, the city of Dubai. Like, I don't know anything about Dubai, so the Brady Bunch, I was lost. And I was in a giant crowd. Don't ask me how I knew it was Dubai, it was just like I knew it was. It was weird. I was lost in like a sea of people. I remember it just being like a bunch of like blank faces. Like I didn't know anybody at all, so nobody was familiar to me. It was just like an ocean of people, and I was kind of like wandering around like, what do I do? This is scary. I want to go home. After I had that strong feeling of feeling lost, my dream transitioned, and I was in a plane. I've never been in a plane before, so it's crazy to me because I have always had dreams of being in planes, and I know the feeling of being in a plane without ever actually being in a plane my whole entire life. Like this lifetime, I've never been in a plane, but I know what it feels like. I'm on this plane, and then next thing you know, the plane's crashing. All I can remember is seeing the wing like rip off because of the force of the plane going down. I seen a woman with red, like curly hair, sort of like start getting pulled out, and she was like hanging on to the side, and she got sucked out and she landed in water where she got eaten and mauled by a shark. I remember seeing this from like a movie point of view, and I was just like, what is happening right now? I was so confused. Once that feeling of confusion started to happen, my dream transitioned again, and this time I was in a small, dark room. I was laying in a metal tub, like, you know, those old, they're not aluminum, I think, steel tubs? I don't know, but it was one of those old tubs. I was laying in what looked like green gooey slime. It's really weird, to be honest. I'd never seen a scenario like that before. I was just confused the whole time. I wasn't really scared ever. I was just kind of like, what is happening? As I'm laying there in the goo, I remember like putting my hands through it and then being like, what the heck? And then a woman walked in the room holding a baby. And this woman, I don't think I've ever met before, but she just felt so familiar to me. Like, it just felt like I knew her. She had like dark blackish hair and she had like a bob. So she brings me this baby, and before she even needs to say anything, I know this baby's mine. Like, I looked at him and his cute little face and his little hair, and I was like, oh my god, that's my son. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yes, my baby, like, mine forever, I love you. And I look at the baby and he has dark brown hair, and I just remember the biggest eyes, like his eyes were so wide. So then she tries to take him away from me. I remember freaking out and being like, you're not taking my baby, like this is my baby, and I would not let her take my son from me. And then after that, I woke up. Keep in mind that I wasn't even with my man at the time, and this was just a random dream on Halloween night that I had no idea would actually come into existence a year later. Honestly, I thought nothing of the dream. Like, I just thought it was just a random weird dream, because I have always had random dreams, but it turns out it wasn't as random as I thought. So now jumping into the actual labor and delivery story. I was 18 turning 19 when I got pregnant, and it was actually planned, believe it or not. I feel like a lot of people think that we are lying when we say that, but we actually did plan it out, and that is and was what we wanted. You know, you can't be prepared for everything. So at least we were both mentally prepared and knew that we wanted this. I know this doesn't have much to do with labor and delivery, but I just wanted to throw my ultrasounds on here and talk about them all. My first ultrasound I had at 6 to 8 weeks, and that one was pretty much just to see if I was actually pregnant, and if I was pregnant, to see how far along I was. And of course, I was pregnant, and he was an adorable little bean. He was actually upside down. I don't know why I thought it was so adorable that he was upside down. For his second ultrasound, he was actually 11 to 12 weeks, and he had grown a significant amount from the last ultrasound, that's for sure. I could have sworn that I seen that he was a boy, but you know, no one wanted to believe me. I had been saying since I literally conceived that I knew he was a boy. I didn't need anything to tell me if he was a boy or not, I just knew. And I think that dream had a lot to do with it. My third ultrasound was when I actually got to see the gender, and the appointment was on my birthday, so it made it like so magical. Like it was the best gift ever. I remember the doctor going over to where, you know, you would see the genitalia, and he didn't even need to say anything. We were all like, yep, that's definitely a boy. Obviously, I wanted confirmation. I'm like, okay, like, this is a boy, right? We're not going crazy here. We're looking at a boy. And he was just like, yeah, for sure. For sure. My mom was running around in excitement because we hadn't had a boy in like well over 22 years in our family. I actually had a fourth ultrasound. Not everyone does have a fourth ultrasound, but I did because my doctor just wanted to make sure that Keenan was growing to a proper size. To all of our surprise, when I got the ultrasound done, he was already an estimated 7.5 pounds, and I was 38 to 39 weeks at that time. And I really just wanted him out. I was like, ugh. I remember really trying to like get my doctor to let me have my baby sooner because how big he was and how small I was, but she would not. She would not let me. She made me wait it out. She wouldn't even let me get induced sooner. She wouldn't even let me get induced on my due date. I know it's better for the baby to stay inside as long as possible, and I totally get that. But it caused some serious problems for me. So I was 41 weeks and 2 days pregnant when I actually went into labor. I went into labor on the 6th of October on a Saturday at around like 9:30 in the morning. I instantly knew I was going into labor. It was just kind of like a knowing. It was like a period cramp, but definitely accelerated, but it wasn't like horrible or anything. I knew it wasn't Braxton Hicks or anything like that. It's definitely something you just know. I put up with it for a little while just to, you know, let it chill, because I know that you don't go in as soon as you feel a little bit of a contraction. You gotta wait it out a little bit. So I waited a bit. I think it was like 1 or 2 when I was like, okay, I think maybe we should go to the doctors and see what's happening, you know? And they checked me and I pretty much was barely dilated. I was in between 2 to 3 centimeters. I wasn't at 4 centimeters yet, so they were pretty much just like, go home, wait. They really only want to book you in if you're like 4 centimeters and up, really, I'm pretty sure. I think that's the mark when they really want to get you into a bed. I remember going back home and just wanted to sit on the couch and just chill. I was just trying to not focus on the contractions and just kind of distracted myself for the time being. I tried to look. It was hard to sleep without medication. I ended up going back during that night because the contractions got really strong and I was so exhausted. I really just needed medication to help me go to sleep without feeling that constant contraction, because it was not allowing me to actually sleep and get any rest at all. When I went back in that night, they gave me morphine, a needle, a shot of morphine, and that needle was this like one of the strangest needles I've ever had. It felt like a bee sting, but then it felt like burning. Like you could feel it go through your vein and like a burning sensation. It was definitely... I actually have a video clip of me coming down the elevator after I got the shot and it's pretty funny. I talked about wanting to steal the wheelchair. I remember screaming out the window on the drive back home about how free I felt. It was a pretty funny experience.
What number? 1.
Mom, it's so
nothing.
Whoa. that felt crazy. Going down. Whoa.
On first look.
Going down. There you go. You'll be fine.
Oh, I don't feel nothing now, bro. Woo. I'm on cloud 9. What are you doing? Have fun. Woo.
I think this is right, eh?
Yeah. Left.
Right,
Left, right. We're taking the wheelchair home. Do we have to leave it here? As for the contractions with the morphine, it really helped for at least like 3 or 4 hours. I didn't feel anything. I was like on top of the moon. I was like, yeah, that's... I passed out sitting up on the couch. When I woke up, I felt a giant contraction and it woke me up from my sleep. I was like, oh my god, like, geez, I can feel the contractions again, yay. I remember feeling that strong contraction and just immediately resorting to my breathing exercises. I just really wanted to breathe and just concentrate on that. That's when I realized that it was really happening and that these contractions really freaking hurt and that I really wanted to go I called my mom and was like, we need to go, and she was like, are you sure? Because we already went there like 2 times before, and you know, we already went there 2 times before. I don't want to go back there and have the same thing happen. I was like, no, we have to go. I'm like crying on the phone. I'm curled up in a ball on my bed. And I'm like, Mom, please, like, we got to. And she's like, okay, let's go. And I was like, thank you, lady. I remember picking her up and then going to Tim Hortons and like sitting in the car, gripping the handle because how bad the contractions are. So I just wanted to focus on squeezing the handle. I didn't want to focus on anything else. And I was just rushing my fiance and my mom. I was like, let's go. And they're like, we're just getting coffee. Like, you're gonna be fine. I'm like, no. Like, let's go. We have to go right now. I just really wanted to get there and just lay down. Let's be real. When we got there, the secretary looked at me and she was like, yeah, that's definitely more like it. It was funny and I knew it was funny, but in my mind, because of the pain, I was like, grr. Like, it made me mad, but I knew like she was just joking. Labor problems. Once they got me checked in again, they checked my dilation and I was 4 centimeters going on to my 5th. So they were like, yay, you can stay. And I was like, finally. They take us to the new room where I'm going to deliver the baby. I remember taking my sweet time because every time I'd walk, the contractions would just get stronger. So I'd feel like walking and be like, let's go. And then I'd be like, oh, wait. And they'd be like, come on. I'd be like, no, okay. I remember looking out the window and being like, damn, it's already light out. Like, it's already the next day. I've been in labor for that long. It really felt like forever. When we got to my delivery room, I remember seeing the prettiest nurse there. She was so nice and friendly. She came up to me and she introduced herself right away. She made me feel very safe, but she was flawless. And it really made me feel like an ogre that day because I did not look like myself at all. To me, I'm unrecognizable, and I can still remember looking at myself in the mirror after it and just being like, who are you? Plus, I caught a fever during labor, so that really affected my appearance a lot too. They had to give me a different IV bag that actually added fluid into me and made me puff up. So I was like, on top of the baby weight, I had like fluid weight, and it was just, and then on top of all that, there was blood loss and yes, chaotic mess that we are going to get into. So she handed me my gown and I changed into it, and the room, I came back out and I laid on the bed. I remember like a really eerie silence throughout the whole hospital. But then I got a contraction and it like knocked me back into reality, and I was like, oh yeah, that's happening, that's what's going on. The nurse actually seen my breathing and she reminded me to slow it down, and actually they told me to concentrate on my breathing and focus on it and take 2 fast-paced breaths in and then like a big one out. So and that really helped throughout my whole entire labor. Just focusing on breathing got me through it so easily. She helped me solemnly focus on breathing, and I feel like I've never actually got the opportunity to really do that before until she taught me. It made the pain subside substantially with my own mind, and that blew my mind. That's when I realized how much power breathing actually holds. Then she placed in the IV. I didn't want to look at it, and for me, if I don't look at it, it makes it 100 times better and I don't even care about it. If I, like, out of sight, out of mind. So I just was like, okay, I'm not going to look at it, do it, just go. And, you know, it's just like a pinch, you know, it's a needle. Yeah, so there's nothing really to be scared about. You don't even notice it's there, for real. All you can really think about in the moment of being in labor is, you know, how you're gonna find the strength to push a baby out. I looked at my fiance and my mom, and they both just had this look on their face like, let's go, like the stage is yours. And all I could think about was, damn, I want this epidural and I want it now. But I had no energy, so I was like, I'm going to sleep, or at least I'm going to try. When you're trying to sleep during labor, it's not really sleep, I swear. Like, you're literally just laying there in a weird state of mind that's like sleeping, but not. Your body is like trying to gain energy and strength while it's awake. My mind is normally scattered and all over the place because I have ADHD, so this breathing technique really helped me. And for the first time in my life, I only focused on one thing. All I could think about was getting Keenan out, and breathing. Like, that was all I could think about, and that was just different for me because I'm always thinking about 20 million things at a time. I woke up sweating. I wasn't really probably even sleeping. I was just kind of like laying there. So the nurse checked my vitals and she said that I was actually running a fever. So that's when she added the other bag of IV fluid, which I was assuming was antibiotics. I'm not really sure what it was. I was fine for the most part, so I was kind of like shocked when she said I caught a fever because I didn't even notice. But then I got really super shaky. I started shaking a lot and it was out of nowhere and I couldn't control it. I don't know what you call the epidural doctor, okay? But once he got to the room, a rush of anxiety it struck through me out of nowhere. It wasn't that he was scary or anything, it was just I knew what was about to go down, and I had already done the research on epidurals, so I knew the consequences and possibilities of epidurals, and I also may have watched a YouTube video. The nurse told me to sit up straight on the edge of the bed with my hands like pressed on the bed, so like I could sit as straight as possible. My mom was beside me holding my hand, but I was really shaky, and then all of a sudden I started to shake like profusely. I ended up looking back really quick and seeing the needle, and I started shaking even more, so the nurse actually ran over and kind of looked at my mom like, I got this, and my mom was like kind of shook, but at the same time she was like, I understand why you're doing this, and I respected her for, you know, knowing when the nurse needed to take over, because once the nurse got in there and actually helped me, she was able to grab my arms and keep them close and really help me feel safe and comfortable to calm my nerves down and actually make me not shake anymore. While she was doing this, she was reminding me of the breathing technique and to not focus on the needle, focus on the breathing. Don't focus on anything else. Just focus on your breathing and you'll be okay. I can faintly remember the epidural feeling. It definitely was similar to the morphine. It kind of just felt like a bee sting, but like a long bee sting, like a bee sting that kind of lasts a little while. That stinging feeling just kind of lasts longer than normal. The pinch from the needle definitely feels like there's more pressure behind it, but it's all in all not that bad, and I would get another one during a second labor because it helped a lot. You will be able to feel it instantly. After they did that, they immediately put the catheter in so that I didn't pee everywhere. It wasn't uncomfortable at all, only because I had the epidural and I couldn't feel anything down there by that point. So yeah. But I can't say the same for the extraction. By this time, I think I was on my 5th, heading into my 6th, or my 6th heading into my 7th. My 5th heading into my 6th, or my 6th heading into my 7th. centimeter when they decided to pop my water because my water hadn't popped yet. I remember them using like a hook tool, and they put it, you know, up there and kind of went and hooked onto the amniotic sac, and you know, you just kind of feel like a big. The only way that I can really describe this so that y'all can get like a full like demonstration and like you can understand what it's actually like is by doing this. This is what it's like when your water breaks. Actually. After my water was broken, it was just the waiting game. I was actually able to fall asleep thanks to the epidural and get some real sleep. And that helped me get some much needed rest in. When I woke up, I actually ended up feeling the contractions again. I was just like, fuck, these just get better and better, don't they? I just wanted to sleep. I really only asked for a drink. And yeah, I only was really disturbed when I needed my vitals checked. I don't know, I didn't really feel like talking much. I just wanted to focus on maintaining my breathing. So it had been a while past, and people had came to visit, and my sister actually came to the delivery room. I was still like in and out of sleep, dealing with contractions. At one point I actually woke up and my arm felt super itchy, and I was just like, why does my arm feel itchy, and like why does it feel like it's burning? That's when I realized that the latex band-aid was there with the IV, and I told the nurse, and she took it off, and I actually had an allergic reaction to the latex band-aid, and there was like a huge welt. I remember getting my mom or my sister to take a photo or two of me, and I even took some of myself. And when I seen them, I was like, who is that girl? Because I hadn't seen myself in hours, and I didn't look like that the last time I looked at myself. So I was just like, oh my goodness, yay. I was really just in shock by how much I didn't look like myself, and even now looking at the photos, I'm like, holy, that doesn't even look like me. The fluid they had given me for the fever had made me swell up like a balloon. I wondered how everybody else looked so glowy and magical on their delivery days, and then I looked like an ogre. But then I remembered that my labor was not very typical, and I almost died. Plus, everybody is different. His nose facing upwards, which is actually very bad and very dangerous, and you know, not good. So we don't want that. So the doctors actually had to reach their hands into me, and they had to manually turn him. They even before then tried to turn him in my stomach, like on the outside, but then they're like, okay, that's not working, so we have to go in. Thankfully, he turned just in time, because not even a minute later, I was like, I need to push right now. I need to get him out. And the doctor was like, no, don't push right now. And as she was saying that, she pulled up the blanket, and her eyes were like, and she was like, okay, yes, you can do it, let's go. Remember, like the second she was like, okay, I was like, ah, and I was just bearing down, and I was like trying my hardest. After I had that first push, I looked and I seen my mom, my sister, and everybody's eyes just kind of like light up around me because they were all looking, and I was just kind of like he must be coming out, like he must be almost out. So that really excited me, and I just did it again, like as hard as I freaking could, and he was out. At 2:05 in the morning on October 8th, 2018, Keenan was born. So I literally had like 3 big pushes in literally 10 minutes. I pushed him out in 10 minutes, and he was out. I wanted him out really fast because I didn't want him to have a cone head. I remember her literally going to encourage me and tell me to push again, but I was already pushing before she could even tell me to. I'm gonna say this and only this. The feeling of a baby coming out can only be described for me as a wet, slimy turkey sliding out of your hoo-ha. Like, if you can imagine the limbs like sliding, yeah. And yes, you can feel that even with the epidural. Yes. Once he was out, they took him as soon as possible to check his vitals and to suction the liquid out of his mouth because he had swallowed some when he was coming out because of the position he was in. I was just waiting for the cry, and of course it happened only a few seconds after he came out, but it feels like forever when you're waiting, even a second. But the second you hear it, it's so relieving. It's like, yes, thank you. Like, yes. Woo! Like, it literally, we are the champions, my friend. Even then, after that, you're not out of the ballpark. You have to push out the placenta. Then Dr. Shepard began sewing me up, like, literally right after. It was extremely uncomfortable because my epidural had already worn off. My epidural had started to wear off. And by the end of labor, they actually cut off the epidural so that you can actually regain your ability to walk sooner. So when she was doing the stitches, I could feel all the pulling and the tugging. I remember looking down at Dr. Shepard and just seeing like a mad scientist. She had blood covering like all of her hands, and like there's blood all over her like apron, and there's just a lot of blood, and I just remember just being in a haze. It felt like I was in a dreamland. My man came over with Keenan while she was sewing and placed him on me. I looked at him and I just was like, oh my god, that is the baby from my dream. I was incredibly mesmerized by how accurate my dream had been. I couldn't stop looking at his dark brown hair and his big, wide open eyes, as you can see from this photo. After that, I looked at Dr. Shepard and I was like, oh great, this is the part where you gotta squish a whole lot out. And she was like, yep, so you're gonna wanna breathe again. It felt like a period cramp each time they would do the compression. They started to do it, they noticed that a lot of blood was actually coming from me, and then they kind of got concerned. I didn't even feel like anything was happening. I just really felt fine, and I just felt like I was in a state of tranquility, but that was probably because of the blood loss. My catheter had actually been kept inside me until like the next day, so that didn't even get taken out with my epidural. They told me that they were going to keep my catheter in because there was a possibility that I might need surgery and I may not be able to go to the bathroom for a while. They almost got my blood type wrong, which could have been freaking horrible because I almost needed a blood transfusion. I remember asking for a drink because I was dying of thirst after just delivering a 7-pound, 15-ounce baby boy, and they were pretty much just like, nope, you gotta wait a few hours because you might have to have surgery. For about 8 hours straight, I was filling up those pee pads with blood completely. Every hour they would come in and do those compressions for 8 hours and take one of those pads filled with blood away. During that time, I got settled with Bean and I got to breastfeed him. It was a really sacred and wholesome experience. I woke up like a half an hour before I was going to be transferred to my room that I was to stay at. And I asked for a drink and they were like, yes, you have a drink. And that's when I realized I wasn't going to have surgery, and I was relieved. I was like, yes, I'm out of the clear. My uterus made a comeback. You go, girl. But at the same time, I really wasn't in any state of fear, even after knowing I might have had to have surgery, and even knowing that I was having severe blood loss. I didn't feel fear. I only really felt fear when it came to the epidural. After we were back in our room that we were to stay at, the nurse taught me how to use the spray bottle and everything. Don't use cold water. You may think that that is the key and that's going to be soothing, but when I tell you that warm water feels the best, it does, and it's like way more soothing because I feel like cold water just like shocks you a little bit and makes you like tense. But the warm water like is soothing. Also aloe and witch hazel frozen in the freezer. That was like heaven. When the catheter was extracted, I did not have any medicine for it. The epidural was gone. It was worn off by then, and it felt weird. It felt like a cord coming out of you. But yeah, when I first got a glimpse of myself in that mirror in the hospital bathroom, I was like, what? I looked dead. To me, I literally looked dead. I was like, oh my god, I just lost all this blood. I have all this random fluid in me. I'm sick. I just gave birth. I got all this extra stomach skin. I got this swollen vajayjay, and you know, it's just a whole lot of mess. It makes you literally feel like you are being ripped from your body and put into somebody else's. It's definitely a soul-changing experience. My doctor actually ended up telling me that Keenan was cleared to go home before I was, and I was just like, what? Like, I was so jealous. I was like, I want to go home. But she pretty much just stated it was because they wanted to make sure that I would be okay overnight, and I understood. So we stayed, even though it was a struggle because we had to share the room with some very loud people, and they kept us up all night. By the time it was the next day and it was time to go home, we were pretty much running out the freaking door. We were so excited to go home and bring baby home and just be happy and be free of the hospital. It was definitely an experience of a lifetime that I will never forget. Does it scare me to have another baby? Yes and no. There's always that risk and possibility of it happening again. At least the next time I am pregnant, we will know what to kind of expect or brace ourselves for. I will be taking extra precautions with my second one to make sure, or to hopefully try and help that from happening again. And when I talk to my OB, when the time comes, I will be insisting an induction earlier on. The fact that he was 7 pounds, 15 ounces, how long I'd been in labor for, gotten a fever, and then pushed him out in 10 minutes, I think they all had huge factors on the stress that was put on my uterus, and that is why I had lost so much blood, because of all the things that had happened within that period of time. It was definitely one of the most traumatic days of my life because I almost lost my life, but also the most amazing because I brought life into this world. Though it almost cost me my life, I am so grateful. It allowed my little boy to be a part of my life and to teach me things. Honestly, I may have never realized how amazing breathing is if I never went through labor. That day really reminds me how truly amazing, life-changing things can come from the most scariest, intimidating things. And those experiences are what shape and help us grow the most. I hope I did a good job on my first story time. Please let me know in the comments what you would like to see me do next. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Don't miss it.